And hello, welcome back to the Gay Racing Podcast. Zack and Alex are back with you for another episode as we discuss NASCAR's regular season finale at Darlington, the Southern 500. And it was a very historic weekend of racing. IndyCar was also having their doubleheader at the famous Milwaukee Mile. We'll talk about IndyCar as well. Are we going to talk about Formula One today? They're at Monza. I didn't watch.
I don't have it in the script, but I enjoyed the F1 race. I did watch it.
Who won? Oh, Charles won.
Leclerc.
Big
Ferrari won at Monza.
Cool. Well, good for them. But yeah, I mean, we don't really need to talk about it. We just did talk about it. So
yeah, that's all there is to say. To be
we
honest.
got a lot once again to talk about with NASCAR. What a month it's been for NASCAR. I mean, NASCAR feels the most volatile it has ever felt in the time that I've watched it. Mm-hmm. You don't know who's going to win any week.
I mean, Kyle Larson dominated this race, but you just know with current day NASCAR that that's not a given.
Well,
it's never
Kyle
a given.
Larson. And it's Kyle Larson.
True.
Kyle Larson leads 200-something laps at Darlington. He ain't winning that race. Absolutely not. It's a miracle he won that race last year. Thank God, because he's never going to win another one there. It's just not meant to be. Like, it's just not meant to be.
Wow.
That's just, that one gets away from him so much. But we'll talk about that later. Kyle Larson, the man of the night was Chase Briscoe. We'll talk about him in a little bit. Tyler Reddick ends up being the regular season champion, battling some like stomach issues and reportedly maybe something really gross. I don't know.
It was gross.
Yeah. The playoff field set. So, but what I want to start with is how awesome this race was, just from the fact that the Southern 500, last few years, it's been starting the playoffs, but this year it's ending the regular season, just how with the calendar ended up. It's ending the regular season. And when that announcement was first made last year, I thought it was kind of like a bad idea because, the whole point was to have Daytona as that last minute ticket puncher. But, last few weeks, I kind of started seeing the vision before the race even happened. I'm like, wait a minute. We have, this playoff battle at the hardest 500 miles in stock car racing. Bubba Wallace, yeah, he won the pole. He needed a really good night, but it was not going to be easy. But where some people might kind of forget, we get surprise winners at Darlington. Eric Jones, Regan Smith. It's a weird racetrack. Weird things happen. And weird things happen last night, honestly. I mean, how else is Chase Briscoe going to win? Weird things have to happen.
But Zach, you said last week that you were excited for this to be the regular season finale. And I was a little hesitant of that, but I was so sold. This was just the perfect regular season finale, honestly.
Yes. Perfect.
Because
what else
didn't have the randomness at Daytona, which you can have at any time of the year before the playoffs start. You can have that whenever.
Yeah.
You don't need it as the final race of the regular season. You really don't. If you want to make the playoffs, you have one more chance. You have to get through the toughest track on the schedule. It's a crown jewel. The vibes are just immaculate. And the way this race ended, in my opinion, is what NASCAR really wanted when they created this format.
Yes.
You had two guys who were not locked into the playoffs at the end of this race. Kyle Busch, Chase Briscoe, racing to make it in. And whichever one of them won was going to take it all and go to the playoffs. That is so cool. And on top of that, they were going to win the Southern 500.
Yeah. And I don't, part of it's kind of weird because we don't want the Southern 500 to get lost in the playoff drama, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is, because the whole point of the Southern 500 is how tough this race is. And it just synergizes with it being the last race of the playoffs. And because my thing is the playoff stories, like the Bubba versus Buescher battle, is that it's a lot more digestible than just watching a pack go around at Daytona. It's very digestible because then you also have Chase Briscoe at the front battling for the lead, and that could change the picture. You're watching the Bubba and Buescher battle and stuff. Like, the story of Truex taking himself out early, and is this going to matter?
Huge.
You know, huge, right? Like, that was just a lot more digestible than just everyone running in a pack at Daytona.
And the Truex thing, wrecking on lap 2 is like a huge deal at like a Darlington. At Daytona, it's like, oh, it's Daytona. Crazy things happen at Daytona, haha. But Darlington,
like, that was your fault.
Like, that's your fault, Martin Truex Jr., and he said as much.
Yeah.
And it nearly took him out of the playoffs. He only made it in by 6 points.
Yeah.
I know he clinched in after one of the stages, but that was because he was barely going to make it no matter what happened. If Chris Buescher would have gotten, I believe, 6 or 7 more playoff points, Chris Buescher makes it in. It was that close. And it all came down to, once again, the toughest track. You have to have a perfect 500-mile race at Darlington. And it's called the Lady in Black. You're gonna scrape the wall at some point. It's hard to be perfect here. I love this as a finale, Zach.
It works so well.
Fantastic.
I didn't even mention the regular season finale battle with Larson winning the stages and catching up to Reddick battling his health. Mm-hmm. So many storylines that went on last night.
And
that's
NBC
something you just will not get at Daytona.
NBC covered all of it really well.
Yes,
it was so easy to follow. They brought up the regular season quite often. They always had the points for Bubba and Buescher up, but they kept reminding you, hey, someone else could win. It doesn't even matter. Lee Diffie, of course, just slayed once again. Like, all around, great night for NASCAR. And I know things got a little, not crazy, but you get the classic current NASCAR with a couple cautions and everything. But look, this race came down to those restarts. Kyle Larson did not execute when it mattered most in this race.
No.
He was in control all night long. Cautions came out. He was on the front row at one point with Ross Chastain, who was on older tires, and Chastain got the better restart. And that allowed Chase Briscoe to get the run and pass both of them, Chastain and Larson. I'm sorry, but Kyle Larson kind of choked this race away. And the regular season championship, he should have won both, but he didn't. And that wasn't because of late race NASCAR shenanigans. It was because of his lack of performance on those restarts.
Yeah, critical moments. I mean, you have to be good on restarts, and Larson knows that. I think I remember in the post-race interview on NBC, Larson said he was trying to not throw his race away because he knew he was in that battle with Reddick for the regular season championship, and I guess he had the advantage at that moment. But, bro,
and look,
you got to attack.
It was only 1 point. It was only 1 point. But now Larson lost 10 points. He would have got 5 for the win and 5 for the regular season, 5 additional for the regular season championship than what he ended up getting for second in regular season points. But while we're talking about that, can we talk about Tyler Reddick? Because we'll go back to Chase Briscoe, I think. But
I know I'm about to say we're not. Last week we couldn't stop talking about Harrison Burton. This week, Chase Briscoe, who's that? He won the race. No, he didn't. I've never heard of him before in my life.
Well, I want to talk more about that, but I do. While we're talking about on the regular season championship, Tyler Reddick, as we said, was battling an illness. It was NBC covered it throughout the night, and the first note of this was when Bob Pockrass tweeted that he was having issues. You can find the official tweet. I thought it was a parody account at first. I didn't think it was actually
like
Bob.
He was having issues downstairs.
Yeah, and it was a gross thought to think about. He was just having all these stomach problems. But look at Tyler Reddick. This could matter in pushing through. Look, kudos to him. Like that could never be me.
Like I have a job where I can't just like chill at my desk. Like I have to be on all the time. So when I'm sick, I'm like, I want to die. This is awful. Someone take me out, please. Like, I can't imagine driving a race car at Darlington. The Southern 500, one of the hardest races to execute. And you're sick with the stomach issues.
And on top of that, it's stomach issues. Imagine the nerves you're having of like, oh my gosh, a championship, regular season championship. I could get those 5 points. I'm trying to not hit the wall. I'm trying to be perfect. The anxiety and the nerves that also builds in your stomach. Like,
I almost wonder if like, obviously that might have helped him like, stay focused, like to get through the discomfort. Maybe. I don't know.
Right.
the whole thing just apparently, reportedly, I heard on the teardown, they said that nothing actually happened in the driver suit. So I don't know. That poor interior specialist, I was thinking about him a lot.
I mean, he said otherwise on the radio, but apparently he was
exaggerating. I think he was exaggerating. Yeah. Or it was like I don't know. It's kind of disgusting.
It's very gross, but good for him though. Like,
great for him.
Because those 5 points, again, they could be huge in the playoffs this next 10 weeks.
Especially with how wild, and we'll talk about it later, just wild how this format or this schedule is. We have 2 super speedways and 2 road courses in the first 2 rounds. Like,
yep.
What are we doing? It's going to be insane. Like, no one's safe unless you win. Unless you win. And that's kind of the story, I guess, of this year and the playoffs in general. If you don't win, you're not safe.
Yep.
Because Truex was 6 points away from missing the playoffs himself. Like, you're not safe if Truex would have been out if Dylan's win was, not disqualified. So
yep.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't win, then you're not safe. So
but speak of winning, Zach, Chase Briscoe, as we said, did win this race. Yeah. And I know you kind of compared it earlier to Regan Smith and Eric Jones, but Briscoe was always in the top 5, it felt like, all night long.
He ran up front all night, but he hasn't been running up front like that all year.
Right.
Like, there were races where he was, he's had some good races this year. Let me, but it's not every week, right?
Right.
They showed up with a really fast car. They showed up as one of the contenders. He was trailing Larson the entire night. So that is certainly impressive. And they definitely deserved this win. Like, it wasn't like, yes, the kind of weird strategy that Chastain played, jumbling them up on the restart, definitely helped him. But the move he made, the 3-wide move he made to get the lead in the first place,
that was the race-winning move.
It was bold, and he made it stick. Like, and he put Chase Larson Briscoe, in a horrible position. He, really got aggressive.
Chase Briscoe has a reputation of causing late race incidents, going for the win. We've seen it probably 4 times at least, maybe more. I was texting you that's how Kyle Larson's going to lose this race, because Chase Briscoe's up there, but that didn't happen, and that goes a lot to show for Chase Briscoe here that this was a deserving win, and he's managed to keep it all together. And honestly, it's a feel-good win. I know that you and I were rooting for Kyle Busch because you have said on here that you don't think Kyle Busch is ever going to win again. But that would have been a really...
I forgot about that until the race ended last night.
That would have been a really big story for Kyle Busch to win this race. But Stewart-Haas Racing is closing in 10 weeks. And for them to get one more win, because I don't know if they'll get another win in these next 2 weeks. I didn't think they would. I didn't think they were going to win last night. It's still a very feel-good win for that whole organization, for Chase Briscoe before he heads over to Joe Gibbs Racing. We were having 2 very good positive stories, 2 positive potential outcomes at the end of this race, and that was a lot of fun to watch. But man, Kyle Busch, 2 weeks in a row, last 2 races regular season, so close, but not good enough.
He has 3 top 5s to the end of regular season, to end the regular season. He finished 4th at Michigan.
To go back to the Austin Dillon Richmond win, RCR has picked it up. I mean, it's too little too late, obviously, now, but I'm curious if they can carry that over into 2025 next year.
Well, I just wonder about all of that. The fact that Dillon and Chase Briscoe are able to show up to these races with race-winning speed. Are the top teams, are they preparing for the playoffs? Do you wonder? Because it is a little weird that, I don't know, there's been a lot of parity lately, but I mean, if you look at it, though, it's teams like Larson and the 5 team. They're just making mistakes. They're giving. I mean, honestly, they're giving these ones away. Hamlin, the 11 team, they've just had so much bad luck and just can't execute. It seems like so. It's not really them being slow. It's just the craziness of this summer. I mean, and it again, as I said earlier, this is the most volatile NASCAR ever has been. Showing as only Yeah, 11th in points is missing the playoffs. So,
yeah. Really interesting regular season. And
yeah.
I mean, we had several photo finishes. And by the way, Atlanta, Kyle Busch was a part of that photo finish. Doesn't make it. And then you go back to Kansas, Chris Buescher, a part of that. And Zach, I believe you're wearing
I decided to wear, I don't know if y'all
a shirt.
See it. Decided to wear my, can y'all see it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't feel like
So
squatting.
Zach is wearing a
This is not the podcast for me to squat.
Zach is wearing the photo finish from Kansas with Kyle Larson winning. Chris Buescher, of course, finished second in that race. Both of those instances would have put them in.
I bet Buescher wishes he put Larson in the wall at Kansas. He's never going to race someone that clean ever again. Oh, my gosh.
And Chris Buescher looked devastated last night, and understandably so. And at one point in the race, he got pushed. He kind of ran out of room alongside Todd Gilliland, and it kind of looked like he turned Todd Gilliland around. I saw some people on social media saying that might have been intentional. I don't know. I only saw the one angle, but he was probably really fed up. He was just like,
it didn't matter anyways, I guess.
Yeah. Not really, no.
I don't know, man. It was a little dicey. You can't do that. I don't know if you can do that.
But Zach, are we ready to take a look at the 2024 playoff grid?
Yes, we are. Here we are.
All right.
Cool. Oh, Martin's cut off, but we don't need him anyways.
So yeah, Martin almost didn't make it. So
Martin, I don't think he's gonna make it far. I'll make predictions in a minute, but I don't know if he's gonna make it that far to be.
Well, remember last year, Martin had a ton of those playoff points ready to go, and it carried him through the playoffs after just having an abysmal playoffs. He doesn't have that. He's going in tied with Ty Gibbs for the least number of playoff points this year.
Yeah.
So,
what an interesting grid we have here, because I feel like the left half is exactly like the fastest cars all season.
Yeah.
Like these guys have been contending for so many race wins and stuff, or just been really consistent. And then the right side literally is everyone that has just like snuck a race win it, right? Like Joey Logano won Nashville after all the restarts. Cindric won Gateway after people had issues. I mean, these are kind of the wild cards on the right, I guess, besides like Gibbs and Truex, who made it on points. So that's kind of interesting to me.
So a note that I saw on social media earlier is that 7 drivers who were not in last year's playoff made it in this year. Nearly half.
Wow, so half turnover rate, I did kind of notice that, because like Chastain's not in it this year, and Buescher and
Kevin Harvick retired. Kyle Busch isn't here.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
Didn't I predict that? Well, Kyle, I think I said that Truex is going to be a round 1 exit, and I think I did predict that Kyle Busch was going to miss the playoffs. I feel like
I think you predicted Kyle Busch would go winless this year. I think you said that way back in January.
Yeah, and I think I definitely remember saying he would not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Truex.
So, let's take a look here. Who would you say, Zach, are your first 4 out?
First 4 out.
Who's going to get eliminated in 3 weeks?
So this round is Atlanta, it's Watkins Glen, and it's Bristol. Kind
of a wild card round.
You could pick any 4 drivers, and I'm not going to be like, yeah, you're wrong. Like I mean, I do want to say that Truex is going to be out early, because it
wouldn't surprise me.
He's just, I don't know, that team's just not performing. They haven't been really competing for race wins. Weren't they fast like at Michigan or something? But then they had an issue. So, but again, it's Atlanta and Watkins Glen. I mean, I think Harrison Burton as well is going to have a lot of problems. I think Bowman having a road course will help him, and I don't know. I don't even know who to pick. I guess I would pick Truex, Harrison. I don't know if I want to pick Cindric.
That's kind of where I've been too.
Do I want to pick Cindric? I'm looking at some average finish things at track types. Because he's been Cindric's best tracks this year are road courses and super speedways. So maybe Suarez.
Suarez did win Atlanta, but of course it is a super speedway.
Is he going to do that again? Yeah, Logano's not safe. I don't think Logano's safe, even though he could win Atlanta.
And
so I think, go ahead.
I was going to say, the left side of the screen here, you got Larson, Bell, Reddick, Byron, Blaney, Hamlin, Elliott, Keselowski. It wouldn't shock me if one of them don't make it out either, just because of the nature of this first round.
The nature of this format, yeah.
And how this season has gone.
I'm having a lot of problems picking because I really don't know. I think I want to throw in one of those guys on the left because it just could easily happen, but I don't think I will. So I think I'm saying Truex, Burton, honestly, Briscoe, because Briscoe's not been that fast. They had a rough summer. I think the Darlington one's covering that up, but they had a really rough summer. So I think Ty Gibbs will get above the cut line and he'll put Bowman, maybe Bowman or Suarez. I'm going to go with Suarez because I think Bowman's going to clutch out and probably have a good run at Watkins Glen. But
so for me, if I were to just play it safe, let's say it is a straightforward round, which it will probably not happen. You'll have Harrison Burton out. I think Suarez will be out, Cindric, and then I would say Briscoe and Gibbs might be fighting for that last spot. But Ty Gibbs is really, really strong, and he is, of course, I think Watkins Glen is probably his best race.
And he ran good at Bristol last 2 races, so I think that's going to be a good race for him.
So I think Ty Gibbs will make it. So yeah, I would say Briscoe, Burton, Suarez, Cindric, maybe Bowman. But
yeah,
I think that's straightforward, but probably won't be.
Yeah.
And now, Zach, Championship 4. Do we have any thoughts on that?
I find it interesting that the top 4 seeds are the Championship 4 from last year. Well, top 4, of the top 5 seeds, it's the Champ 4 from last year, and then our regular season champion with Tyler Reddick.
Yeah.
Then you got Hamlin. Hamlin's also always a threat, but something
Hamlin
about
lost
this year,
a ton of those points.
He's lost a lot of momentum. I mean, he had some speed last night, but he wasn't really up front. He wasn't up front leading. So I don't know if I have anything for the 11 team right now. I think Larson's going to make it. I think Bell will make it. I think Reddick can probably make it. I think the top 3 you can go ahead and pencil in. I don't know about the 4th one. It could be Blaney. I don't think it'll be Byron.
Byron's been gone.
Yeah.
For a while now.
See, what other tracks we have? Homestead, it's Homestead, Vegas, and Martinsville. So it could be Blaney.
I could see Chase Elliott, but then Chase Elliott, where was he last night?
Yeah. I think the 9 team, they could really come alive. If I feel like if the 9 team wins one race, they'll go on a hot streak, kind of like what Blaney did last year. That's a thing too. Yeah. Remember what Ryan Blaney did last year? I mean, he was so quiet. No one was talking about him. He had 1 win going into the playoffs. He could be the 22 team. Remember, it's an even number year. Wait a minute. What am I talking about? Sorry. My final 4. Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, Joey Logano. There we go. I forgot. There we go.
There you go.
Joey Logano. Watch him. I think he's about to come. He's got all these super speedways to farm. He's going to be... he's
low key, not as dominant, obviously, but Logano is kind of the modern day Jimmy Johnson.
He is.
In the way that he performs best in the playoffs. He's making it into that Championship 4 every even year. It is an even year. It's hard to bet against that. And I agree with you. I think Bell and Reddick are my solid ones. Larson, I want to say is solidly, and he probably is, but it's just a matter of...
He's going to win Homestead or Vegas.
Oh yeah,
Homestead. He's gonna win Homestead or Vegas. Those are tracks he doesn't choke. He actually doesn't choke Vegas as much as he chokes Darlington and stuff. He'll be fine. I'm not worried.
So then my other concern is Bell. I know I just said I feel pretty good about him. He's made it the last 2 years, but sometimes they have a problem executing. So I feel Blaney's really consistent. Byron's kind of out to lunch right now. Denny Hamlin could make it in. It's honestly really wide open.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick a favorite, I would say it's Tyler Reddick right now. Just for the whole thing.
Well, he was decently fast at Phoenix, wasn't he? And Bell was. I think my favorite's Bell because he won. I mean, it's not just because he won at Phoenix, but he's been fast at the short tracks just in general. Yeah. So
that's fair.
I mean, Reddick was too. So Reddick's actually, no, you're right. Reddick's a really good pick for the champion.
Yep.
Now that I think about it.
That'll be fun to follow the next 10 weeks. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. And now let's transition into IndyCar at the Milwaukee Mile.
You have to.
So I enjoyed these races. I thought they were pretty solid. I'm glad it won't be a doubleheader next year because, quite frankly, I think it was just too much. I wish Iowa wasn't either. I think
too much. It's just too much. Like, you want to keep your fans wanting more. Like, I don't think. Like, I used to be a big fan of doubleheaders, like when they announced the Pocono one for NASCAR and stuff. But I've kind of realized, as like especially being like an adult, and your weekends are just a finite amount of time. Having to watch 2 races, girl, don't take up my Saturday like that.
See, I was so satisfied with race 1 that having to watch another one, I was kind of like, oh my God, again. It was one of those races where it was just like crazy chaotic. I did not like race 2. I did not like it.
It took a long time because of the chaos and all the cautions. And
I made a post that was like, at a point, chaotic races are just not enjoyable. Because there's just too much happening. It's not really a race. It's just like roll the dice, see what happens kind of race.
Especially when it's race 2 of a doubleheader. I think if that was
I'm
the
already
only
tired.
race, if there wasn't a race on Saturday, I think yesterday's race is a banger. Honestly, I love how I think it's weird how we have that distinction, or that I have that distinction. But really, I mean, it's just the fatigue from the race before.
Yeah,
it's just. And it didn't get, I mean, to be fair, yesterday's race, I don't know how we're going to do this, but yesterday's race didn't get started off normal either. I mean, literally from green flag
right,
to checkered flag, it was just crazy.
And see, that was intriguing. It's like, oh my gosh, Alex Palou's car stalled on the pace laps. But in my head, I'm just kind of like, okay. Maybe it's because my driver's not in there with Joseph Newgarden, right? But
you're a hater.
I've been checked out of this championship for so long, and I know how Alex Palou's luck works. I'm just kind of like, well, oh well.
So you're saying you want the IndyCar to have the playoffs?
No.
Then what are you saying?
I'm just saying I don't think the championship's been interesting in IndyCar this year, and that's fine because Alex Palou's just been that good. And for this to happen, I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. I don't know. Yeah. I will say it's a bummer Scott McLaughlin had that St. Pete penalty because he would be in this championship hunt right now.
Oh, yeah. We thought Joseph would take advantage of the ovals. No, Scott McLaughlin has been taking advantage of the ovals.
Big time. Yep. Without that penalty, McLaughlin might be the points leader without St. Pete, or really, really close.
They should have a separate oval champion and give it to Scott McLaughlin. They should just have a separate oval championship.
But yeah, so Alex Palou, instead of nearly clinching the championship, he now has a 33-point lead over Will Power going into the finale. And Will Power was going to be nearly tied with him until as we were saying, all the chaos happened in race 2. A bunch of people are having mechanical issues or crashing out. There's also the start of the race 2, which Joseph Newgarden got taken out from the pole.
Okay. Does Linus Lundqvist really need to be at Nashville?
Which, Zach, I am so glad that all the crying and complaining after Gateway prevented a restart catastrophe and, drama on a start or restart at Milwaukee. I'm so glad that we prevented that. I'm so glad. I'm so glad it was really worth it. But whatever.
I think I feel like that whole situation's unacceptable. For them to call off the restart and then they wreck
that late. And so there were cars coming off turn 2 when Joseph and the field were coming to the line. They waved it like they were already off 4. They like waved it off, it seemed like.
Yeah, you can't wave it off that late.
And it feels like every week IndyCar waves off a restart, and it's just make up your mind.
Yeah.
You saw that they were so far behind. Why didn't you wave it off on the backstretch or something?
That's true. Like what? That's unacceptable. I'm sorry. That's unacceptable. Because at first I do want to blame it on Linus Lundqvist, but like at the same time, as a race car driver, you're trying to get everything you can get on that restart. Like it's hard to switch off that mode.
Yeah.
So I can't even really blame him that much.
Yeah.
So dumb.
In defense of Linus Lundqvist, by the way, I believe it was race 1. He led quite a bit of laps. I'm hoping he ends up getting a ride for next year, because right now it sounds like Ganassi is going to downsize to 3 cars instead of the 5 they have. It sounds like that's because of the charter stuff that's coming in. They're going to have limited to 3 cars per team.
They don't need 5 teams anyways. I don't even hate that idea. Like, why do you gotta have 5 teams?
But I hope Linus Lundqvist gets a ride somewhere next year. It sounds like they might be cutting him and Marcus Armstrong's cars, Ganassi. But that's beside the point.
Sorry? They're cutting... So Kiffin Simpson stays at Ganassi?
Who got money?
That's not what I'm asking. Money? That's not what I'm asking.
Well, that is what you're asking.
Well, you know, that's what I'm asking. But Alex, that's what I'm asking. But that's not what I want to know.
Unless something changes, expect Kiffin Simpson to be at Ganassi next year. Yep.
Is he single?
I don't know.
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. That's my next question. Is he single? Is because I need some money.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I'm not sharing. You go get yourself some Santino Ferrucci. He had a good weekend.
He did have a good weekend.
Although he might be boyfriends with Connor Daly now. Let me stop.
Are you sure it ain't Townsend Bell? Because Townsend Bell is having time of his life in the booth up there.
Oh my God. Townsend Bell. I'll tell you what. I will say, now since I brought Santino up, since I love him so much, he is really damn exciting at these tracks.
Okay, Townsend, but
he is
for real
really,
though. I
really
understand.
Is fun to watch.
I understand the appeal. I think my problem and a lot of the drivers' problem with him.
Here we go.
Is that Santino makes moves that are inherently far too, really, really dangerous in an open wheel car. That if he made these moves in a stock car, like in NASCAR, it'd be super thrilling and exciting, etc. But in an open wheel car, it's just like you're kind of testing fate here a bit. And I understand that you need to do that sometimes to like make these big moves and like make a name for yourself, but it is risky sometimes what he does. And
you need a crying towel.
Me?
Oh, he's racing too hard. He's actually making passes. Oh, this is not the racing I want to watch. No, I kind of agree. I do kind of agree. Because, like, he was throwing sliders. Like, I don't know if you
in
really
an open wheel. If things go wrong, he's going to go airborne.
Now, hold up. Slide jobs come from open wheel racing.
Okay. Right? I wouldn't say that, but...
do they not? So what is winged sprint car racing or sprint car racing? Aren't those sliders? They pull sliders?
I would say that's more of a dirt racing thing in general, not just sprint cars.
Are the wheels open or not?
Not on all dirt racing. No, like late models exist and those have slide jobs. No. If you're going to say it comes from sprint cars.
You need a job.
I mean, hey, if you're hiring, let me know.
You need a job. I hate the hell. I'm sorry.
Anyway, I don't.
That was the worst 5 minutes of the gay racing podcast I think we've ever had. And I used to talk. I said before how I thought it was hot that Denny Hamlin peed himself.
I'm so glad you froze for a second, so I didn't have to hear you say that. I know what you were saying, but I'm glad you froze for a minute. I know what you were saying.
I wonder if y'all heard it. Anyways,
anyway, Pato Award won race 1. I don't think we mentioned that yet.
Who's that?
Yeah, who?
I don't know who that is.
Guys, I've never seen this guy on a billboard before.
So I don't know who he is.
I don't know who that is, right?
Oh, he's the guy who keeps showing his titties on Instagram.
That guy. Oh, yeah,
that guy.
Him. Yeah,
I know his titties. I know his nipples. I don't know his face. I know he drove a race car. What did Will Power say in the media center? He said his butt was famous or something.
What? I did not hear that.
Or he said, I don't remember. He says something about that.
That's awesome.
I don't know if he meant his like actual butt, or if when you like he said the A word, like he said ass. I don't know why I'm trying not to cuss, but
yeah,
I don't know. He said like your ass is famous. Like I don't think
it's a double meaning, Zach. Two things can be true at once.
I guess so.
Anyway,
so
if you don't know what we're talking about, if you don't understand, like, why are they talking about billboards and why are they pretending not to know who Pato Award is? He's famous. I know who Pato Award is. The IndyCar CEO, Mark Miles, said that Pato Award is not that popular. And I'll give you that direct quote.
Why would he say that?
He said a direct quote. He said, I will say that it's clear that Pato isn't as famous as the last previously famous Mexican driver, Adrian Fernandez, but he's really gaining ground. And here's the biggest part, you guys. And he's actually on some billboards now, meaning Pato. End quote. So
are we on a billboard?
I don't think so.
Oh.
We should be. We should buy a billboard.
That's when we know we've made it.
Yeah.
If you're not on a billboard, who are you?
So Pato responded with a picture of NASCAR promoting their truck race at Milwaukee on a billboard. And it said, quote, guess who is not on one? Pato asked on Twitter, implying that IndyCar is also not on a billboard right now.
Yes, because the NASCAR race also already happened at Milwaukee.
And look, this whole thing started, I think, with NASCAR confirming that they'll be racing at Mexico City next year. Pato Award has been super vocal about IndyCar's marketing, promotion, everything in that realm's efforts. He's been saying they need a race in Mexico. If you go to an IndyCar race, there is a swarm always around the McLaren paddock area.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants to see and meet Pato Award.
Yeah.
He is by far the most popular driver in IndyCar. I think you'd say Roman Grosjean has the most name recognition, but Pato Award is like the fan favorite.
There's a huge, like, it's, and a lot of it is like the Mexican race fans. Like,
yes.
We saw so many of them at Indy and just Pato fans in general. Like,
yep.
He is easily the most popular driver and is kind of carrying IndyCar. Honestly, yep. They need to, yep. IndyCar needs to take advantage of that, and they have not. NASCAR is, because they have Daniel Suarez, and Daniel Suarez is one of the more popular drivers.
Yep.
Honestly. Like, they're taking advantage of it because they're smart.
And for Mark Miles, who is in the position that he is in, again, CEO of IndyCar,
like, why would he say this in the first place? The way he said it. Why would he say it like that?
It's just so dismissive. Pato is, again, the most vocal driver about all the problems IndyCar has about growth. And yet he's just like, he's not on a billboard, so like he's not as popular, blah, blah, blah. And again, the CEO, Mark Miles, he did come out like kind of backpedaling these statements and basically said like, oh yeah, he's very popular. I understand that. It was just kind of a fluff PR statement, which I understand why they put something out. But Pato Award did not deserve that, and I'm so glad he went out to win that race the day this all came out. Like, that's poetic in my opinion. It's very frustrating, and we've talked about it on the podcast, Zach, for several years. I've talked about it on social media for a long time. IndyCar's not, quite frankly, in a good position right now. We had a whole episode about it a few weeks ago with our friend Jackson Lambros. And this is just another useless shot in the foot by the people in charge at IndyCar to just go after, for no reason, their biggest name. And look, Pato O'Ward is someone who could go to Formula One because he's already aligned with McLaren. Jenna Fryer reported today that NASCAR has inquired about Pato running the Mexico City race next year. After all this.
That would be really cool.
The IndyCar race at Gateway is the same weekend or day as the Mexico City race, so it's unlikely to happen.
That's also Le Mans weekend, by the way. So
right. So like, why is Gateway on Le Mans weekend in the first place? They didn't.
Screw that entire Gateway weekend. No one's gonna care. No one cares.
So, in my mind, honestly, speak of that, they should just reschedule that, as I don't like where it is anyway. As someone who goes to that race, I think it's gonna be way too hot, and it's not a night race. It's gonna be a mess. But yeah, Slay of the Week to Pato O'Ward, because he handled this, in my opinion, really well, and he's never backed down from speaking his mind on this issue because he knows how big IndyCar can be and how much potential that it has, and for someone like Mark Miles to come out and say that is just really stupid. And it shows the ignorance of the leadership at the series right now, quite frankly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. So that flop of the week to Mark Miles, by the way, just why not? We have to hand that one out too. But anyway, let's move on to the NASCAR 2025 schedule. We've kind of talked about everything that's kind of been said already, like Mexico City. That'll be in June next year. Bowman Gray Stadium will be the Clash next year. We don't really like that. It's kind of backpedaling.
Yeah.
From the idea of like going to a new big exciting location like a LA Coliseum, go to like a downtown space. Don't know if I understand that one. And there's a few other shifts in the schedule. Like now we know which network will have which race. Each network will have its own marquee crown jewel event, which is pretty cool.
I'm gonna pull up the schedule right now.
Yeah,
here we go. All right, cool. Yeah, so we talked about most of it. Like some of the orderings,
playoffs too.
Interesting. I love how the start of the season is 2 super speedways and a road course. So we're gonna go for like basically the first month of the season being like, well, okay, we haven't had a real race yet. So we don't really know who the true contenders are. Right. Then once we get to Phoenix, it'll be like, well, we haven't had an intermediate race yet. So we don't know who the true contenders are. That's going to suck. Man. That's going to be so annoying.
I think my least favorite part of the schedule is Homestead leaving the playoffs and going back to the spring where it was for a few years ago. Not a fan of that. I understand why it's there. It's pretty much replacing Fontana. Because we don't have Fontana, we don't have a Southern California race.
Was Kansas on Mother's Day weekend this year?
It's always been roughly around. I think Darlington was this year.
Yeah, but now Darlington's like in April, which okay, I guess that's fine.
Yeah,
whatever.
It used to be when they first added the spring race, or a couple of years into it, it was always Mother's Day weekend. So it's been. Before.
What did you just say about Fontana? I wasn't listening.
The reason why Homestead got moved up is so they have another warm weather date.
Yeah, I guess. It's March, though. I mean, whatever. Yeah, the playoffs are a little rough, but it's...
And again, we've talked about this.
It's somewhat better than what we have this year. I'm not going to lie.
I don't like that Gateway and New Hampshire are both in there. Pick one. I like Gateway being in there.
Yeah.
But I wish it was not New Hampshire or vice versa. I don't like Talladega being in the round of 8. I think that's a bit too gimmicky.
I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's the NASCAR playoffs. You'll be all right.
But yeah, if you're watching on video, you can take a look. You can pause, or you can find this on NASCAR social somewhere.
Can we take a look at the Xfinity schedule, like just real quick?
Sure.
Like, if I can pull it up in time. and I can't really zoom it in, but here, let me try to zoom it in. I couldn't find like one with the picture, just the picture, but they got rid of the second Darlington race, which I don't like because like Xfinity at Darlington is just like awesome. The key thing on the schedule is Rockingham is back.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's cool.
That's
it's on the truck schedule as well.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
Notable about Rockingham is that it is on Easter weekend.
Oh, so that's an off weekend for Cup, isn't it? And then okay, I think that's fair, kind of.
Yeah, I'd like it. I think.
I mean, some of the people that work on both Xfinity and Cup won't really get to enjoy that weekend. Then
that's true. Yeah.
Is it like on a Saturday? Wait. Yeah, it's on a Saturday. Okay. So at least like Easter Sunday's open.
Right.
Like, okay, that's good then. And then the trucks are...
I think the notable thing with trucks is that Lime Rock Park is on there. A lot of people are very excited about that.
Girl, you mean there's lime on these rocks? Like I've never... I don't even know what Lime Rock Park looks like. I know it's an iRacing. I literally do not care about this racetrack, but you know what? Cool.
So, in my opinion, the truck schedule is getting closer and closer back to what it should be, rather than just following mirroring Cup. It's going to IRP, Lime Rock Park. It's doing these more shorter tracks. I mean, being at North Wilkesboro, I know Cup's there, but like a points race at North Wilkesboro, Rockingham. Like, I feel like this is more of what the truck series should be. I would add in a dirt track again.
That's true. I think trucks should be on dirt.
Give trucks their own marquee event back at Eldora. That was really cool, in my opinion. But it's getting a lot better, the truck schedule, than what it used to be. There used to be, at one point, Kansas was like the third race or fourth race of the year.
Yeah, in like May.
And like, look at it takes like what, 7 races to get to Kansas.
They finally have like a really good start to the year.
Yeah,
and I love how trucks are back at Michigan because that's always a fun race. And then trucks are going to be at the Roval for the first time.
Yep,
it's a Friday race. I wonder if he'll like be at night a little bit. That'd be kind of fun.
That would be fun.
I don't know.
Yeah,
well, cool.
So
schedules.
those are the 2025 NASCAR schedules. And with that, Zach, are we ready for fantasy?
Do we want to talk about this little tidbit?
What's the tidbit?
The tidbit that I'm highlighting.
You're right. My bad.
I think it's interesting.
So, guys, there actually is a little bit of tea to share with you about this schedule stuff. I forgot about this. So NASCAR, they may host a street race in San Diego as soon as 2026, according to Adam Stern. That's who I saw report this. And that's really interesting because then it would be another Southern California race. What does that mean for Fontana? There was that report earlier this year about Dodger Stadium instead of the LA Coliseum. So I guess that fell through. So because at one point, someone in NASCAR leadership said we will be in Southern California in 25. That obviously did not happen. So that obviously fell through. But San Diego. What do you think, Zach?
I like it. It's a way to get in California. It's another street race, which again, we saw the success of Chicago. I'm for it. Good city.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been there, but I like it.
Yeah, I have. Our friend Jackson Lambros, I believe, lives around San Diego.
Oh,
so that's pretty exciting for him.
That is exciting.
So let's see. Fantasy, I would like to congratulate my best friend, Zack, who is now a champion in IndyCar Fantasy. And look, Zack, I know we fight a lot about this. We're always texting each other like, haha, I hope your guy DNS. Like even yesterday, we were like, or I was telling you, well, I hope Pillow can't get back on track or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you picked Pillow for fantasy.
Yesterday was crazy because I'm like, I just need Pato to like something to happen. And then something happened to him. And I'm like, yes.
So I'm happy for you because last year was really rough for you in fantasy.
Thank you.
You deserved it after all that last year. Was this your first time winning the IndyCar fantasy?
I think so.
I think so.
Well, wait for me to come back. And I still got one more race to try to make my lead bigger. So that was good. I feel good about it. But now I got but my work is not done. Because we are heading into the playoff season tied in NASCAR. 16 to 16 points. So this is crazy. This is a crazy tight championship battle for us.
Yeah, I mean, was it last year, the year before that we went into the finale tied?
It was the year before with Logano, like winning.
Right.
Because you picked Logano at Phoenix.
Well, we're going to Atlanta, which not an easy race to pick for. But I think I know who I'm going to
Yeah, I think I do too. Yeah, I got it. All right, are you ready?
I'm grabbing a picture for our video people. All right. I am ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1. I'm trying to pick Brad Keselowski, and Alex is also trying to pick Brad Keselowski.
Damn.
Okay. I had a feeling. Okay, I had backups.
Okay.
That's perfectly fine. All right, I'm ready. I feel so locked in right now.
Well, good for you, champ.
I feel like those anime characters when their eyes get really like serious looking, and I'm like,
all right, I'm ready.
All right, I'm also ready. 3, 2, 1. I'm trying to pick Joseph Logano, and Alex is picking Ryan Blaney.
Yes, sir.
Penske teammates.
Have we done that before? If we have, it's been a while.
I don't think so.
We picked Gibbs a lot.
It's funny. I was about to make Joey my first pick, but I had a feeling that you would match me on. Well, I also kind of wanted to pick Brad, but I had a feeling that you might also pick Brad, so then I picked Brad. But Joey, when I said earlier that I'm like, Joey's going to have a really good playoffs, I'm like, yeah, Joey's going to have a really good playoffs. He's going to win in Atlanta. I think
could see it.
He's going to tear through these rounds, dude. I'm just saying.
I'm going Blaney. I know he had a rough start at Darlington, but that wasn't his fault. That was Truex's fault. But I think Blaney.
That was Truex's fault.
It was. Truex.
Did you see how all those 3 cars, Byron, Blaney, and Truex, wrecked at Darlington in the spring as well?
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
that was really funny.
But yeah, I'm going Blaney. He's won in Atlanta. I think he's gonna do it again. I'm looking forward to this race this weekend. New Atlanta has really grown on me.
Is it a night race? No, it's a day race, isn't it? I think it's a day race.
I don't know what time it starts at. It might start like 5. I don't know.
No, I think it's a day race. I remember. I don't even know. I don't care. Well, that's cool. I don't know what to expect from this race. We had some wrecks in the spring race, didn't we? Well, I feel like, again, because the way Atlanta is, the pack isn't as tight. So when there is a wreck, it's a bit easier for cars to avoid it. So I think while a lot of people might be worried about this being the playoff opener, I don't think it's as crazy as, Daytona gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, it won't be in the playoffs next year. So I think it's just a one and done thing.
Well,
but I will say, Zach, you were correct. This race starts at 2 p.m. Eastern on.
Okay.
Well, no, wait. That's for the spring. Sorry.
Oh, well.
I just lied. Sorry. Let me double check that now that I'm looking into this. Quaker State 400 presented by Walmart is at 3 Eastern.
Walmart. Girl, ain't it football season now?
Yeah. I think the first official week is this week.
That's fun. That's exciting.
We'll get the text about football in the off season. Yay.
Yay. I do kind of want to start watching the NFL.
I had so much fun last year. I'm actually really
excited. Bet you did. Kansas City.
Well, Zach, since you won the IndyCar Fantasy Championship, I'll go ahead and read our kind comment. This comes from Goddish Dev on YouTube saying, I can literally feel the happiness radiating off you two in this video. I love the energy.
That must have been the Harrison Burton episode.
It was the Harrison Burton episode. That comment made me smile really big because that's honestly how I feel every week with you, Zach, doing this.
That's really
fun.
Yikes. All right, queer.
Yep. Yep.
That's cute.
Favorite day of the week, Zach.
Oh.
And if you guys love gay people, you can leave 5 stars for us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can leave a written review on Apple for 5 stars as well. We'll read it. You can subscribe here on YouTube. We're climbing up to 400. TikTok, we're climbing up to 500 followers over there. Appreciate the love. You can support us on Patreon. We're working on a guest episode potentially soon. So if you're a Patreon subscriber, you'll get that first.
Potentially, I might finally take a video of my racing collection, because I got most of it all displayed out and stuff. And Alex, you have a video of yours up, right?
Yeah. Well, I went through my die-cast cars. I haven't done a collection. Yeah.
Same thing.
And you can follow us on socials at Gay Racing Pod, at Dreamy Zack Racing, and at Newgaden.
Yay. All right. Well, so next week we were talking about IndyCar's off before their finale in Nashville, so we're going to be just talking about Atlanta. I don't know if Formula One. I think Formula One's taking their summer break soon, or did they already have that?
They already did that. It's September. Zach, it's September.
Girl, I don't know. F1's weird. They're Europeans. They're weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I will say...
I thought Monza used to be before the summer break. I don't know.
We're going to start the episode with F1. We're going to end with F1. Because F1, honestly, kind of compelling right now. There's a lot of drama.
Dude.
The points championship, low-key, not over.
Well, McLaren acts like they don't want to win. So what happened? Did McLaren, just...
So on the start, Oscar Piastri pretty much took the lead from Lando.
How dare you?
And in a very aggressive way, which, again, that's racing. I think it was very fair. But then at the end, Charles Leclerc just prevailed. They had the right strategy. Ferrari, right strategy, kind of crazy. And yeah, and the final results was Leclerc, Piastri, Norris.
I heard people complaining that Piastri didn't give up the spot to Norris. They didn't do team orders because Norris is trying to catch Verstappen in the standings, who isn't anywhere to be seen, apparently. Fighting for 5th.
Yeah.
Bizarre. What's crazy? Remember James Charles? When Max Verstappen met James Charles, I saw a tweet. Did you see the tweet?
I sent it to you, yeah.
Oh, okay. Alex, you need to check this out. Oh, I did.
You're how you saw it.
Since Max Verstappen met James Charles at Miami, Verstappen has been down. Has he won a race since then? I think he's won once.
Maybe 1 or 2. Yeah, I don't know.
It's over. It is Jover. It is Jover, man.
Yep.
For Max Verstappen.
So
I hope he loses this championship. That would be karma for 2021. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Speaking of championships, the NASCAR championship gets kicked off next week with the playoffs. So we'll be back to talk about hopefully another good Atlanta race. My favorite super speedway on the calendar. So I'm excited for that. Love Atlanta. Love New Atlanta. So we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.